What up, YouTube? It's your boy Malt Frazier here with another Alabama post-game reaction video. And the tide is rolling, baby. Roll Tide. This was a beautiful victory, sweet victory, because it was sweet revenge. You know, last year we played Vanderbilt. They caught us right after a really big win against Georgia. And, you know, it wasn't our best showing against them. And it was rough because they showboated. You know, they let everybody know that they beat us. And, that was humbling. We had to hear about Vanderbilt for 365 days. How about, Diego Pavia and all of his moxie and blah, blah, blah. And we just had to take it until we could do something about it. And today we did. We did something about it. So, I really love the trajectory of our team because I think we are at a point in the season where we've established our identity. We know who we are, and we're confident in who we are. And that starts on offense. We are a Tysimpson-led offense. We go as number 15 goes, and he sets the tone. He's the playmaker. He's the guy that we trust in those tight moments, and he's our leader. And we got a real balanced offense. We got a physical offensive line. The run game made some huge strides today. Shout out to Jan Miller. I mean, baller performance for him. We'll get into that a little bit more in a minute, and we really have a litany of weapons to use on offense. A whole bunch of guys that can make plays. It's not just Ryan Williams or Jeremy Bernard or Isaiah Horton. You also got to worry about Josh Cuevas. You got to add Kevin Riley in there. Latsier Brooks has been having a really big season for a freshman. So, the more comfortable we get, I think the better we'll be. And, we're really showing signs of a great offense at this stage of the season. And on the defensive side, look, we got some work to do still, but we are a bend but not break defense, and that's a good characteristic to have. We're not giving up a lot of points. We only gave up 14 points today, and while we did give up some explosive plays like we did last week, the defense really sticking their feet in the ground and getting stops is huge. Justin Jefferson really changed the entire momentum of the game. We got off to a slow start, and he forced a fumble that turned the whole game around. So and then also as far as the identity thing goes, we're the kind of team that I think we like getting off to a hot start. We're kind of like a 400-meter runner that as soon as that gun goes off, we want to get out as fast as possible and put as much distance between ourselves and our opponents as we can. And, that last 100 meters of the race, we're just kind of trying to, hold everybody off. We hope that we get out to enough of a good start to where we don't really have to worry about anybody, hawking us down. And, last week that worked against Georgia. This week, we did not have a great start. We had a turnover on the first drive. We had Vanderbilt backed up inside their 10-yard line, and they went right down the field with some explosive runs. And that was not encouraging to see because that was an issue we had last week. And then the offense was off to a slow start. And so, with the whole get off to a quick start thing wasn't working today. And I'm really, in a way, it was a blessing in disguise because we showed the ability to be able to play from behind, hold our composure, and get back into the game, right? Like Justin Jefferson really turned the game around by forcing that fumble. Vanderbilt had a chance to go up 2 scores early, which would have made a huge difference. It would have, made a big difference on our crowd. It would have took them out the game a little bit. And probably, it could affect the confidence of our team a little bit, right? Like Vanderbilt got us good last year, and we were hungry for this one. So for them to kind of punch us in the mouth, from the jump, who knows how that could affect the game, right? But forced fumble was huge. We were able to get the ball, go downfield, and get Ryan Williams involved. That was awesome to see. He had a really good day today, and we tied it up 7-7. And second quarter was really competitive. Vanderbilt put a really nice drive together right before the half and scored. And we had some trouble dealing with some of their RPO stuff in the first half in particular. But the board did a great job of using his timeouts and gave the offense a lot of time to cook right in that 2-minute drill, right? So we went down the field, put a really nice drive together, and we were able to have it a tie game at halftime, which was a good spot to be. Slow start, but we made up for it. We got a game at halftime, 0-0. Here we go. And second half, straight domination, baby. Defense came out and really just the most consistent we've seen them this year. So, Vanderbilt got the ball to start. We get a stop. We take the ball down the field, and we turned it into 3 points. And then we got the ball back from Vanderbilt again, got another good stop, and we turned it into another 3 points. Now, it would have been nice to finish these drives in the third and fourth quarter because we kicked 3 field goals, and that could have been 3 touchdowns, right? So we're talking about a difference between 9 points and 21 points. But shout out to us getting some points, right? Like that still was a big deal. So, we go up 14-20, and Vanderbilt still just basically one play away from being in the lead. And our defense gets another stop. Keon Sabb, huge interception. And again, we were in a bend but not break situation. Vanderbilt was moving the ball a little bit, but we got to a certain point where we just stuck our feet in the ground and said no more. And I love that. That's a beautiful trait to have as a defense. So, it's showing me that, hey, we can rely on our defense in some tough spots. Last week, we had the big 4th-and-1 play. LT Overton made a huge stop, and we got off the field. We were able to finish that game. And then this week, second half, straight shutout. And then, we went downfield, got the put away drive going. We got the ball with about 12 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and the offense it was beautiful to see them just take the soul out of the game. We ran the ball beautifully. We had the ball for 15 plays, took 8 minutes and 30 seconds off the clock, and then we got a field goal out of it. But that third field goal was huge because it put us up 23-14, which makes it a 2-score game, and we're in the driver's seat from that point. So, really, really great execution. I love the grit from this team. I love the perseverance and just the togetherness group. That Florida State game was probably the biggest blessing in disguise for us. Getting punched in the mouth early in the season. We've clearly developed a lot of character. This is not a team that is soft. They're not going to go away because things aren't going their way. They're going to keep fighting, and we showed that truly in the second half. So, and got out of there with a great victory over another undefeated opponent. That's back-to-back weeks that we've beaten undefeated opponents. So we're trending in the right direction, and it's looking good. So let's take a little deeper look into the box score. Tysimpson, monster day today. Threw 23 of 31, 340 yards, 2 touchdowns. He had the pick in the first quarter. It wasn't your average pick, I would say, just because it was fourth down and it was basically as good as a punt. So the defensive back would have been better off just batting it down. It cost them about 30 yards, but they scored anyway, so it didn't matter. But Tysimpson, talk about bouncing back and showing grit and perseverance. I mean, he threw that pick, didn't look back, right? I mean, he just next play and he balled out. But the man that really got things rolling today, to me, was Jam Miller and the offensive line. We were extremely physical. There was some huge holes that opened up, and Jam Miller got some momentum. He was running hard, running through defenders and falling forward. That is a great trait I like to see from our running backs. When contact is made, what happens? Do you stop right there? Does your forward momentum continue to push you towards, more yards? And are you running hard? Are you running physical? Jam Miller checked all of those boxes. He broke a couple big runs. And look, Jam Miller is a huge part of this offense, right? Like last week, he did so many things that helped us win that game, whether it was picking up blocks, catching the ball out the backfield, getting some tough grunt yards. But this week, he was able to really stuff the stat sheet and play good, right? Like, so, we fed him and we needed him. He was key to this victory and also just the overall momentum shift in the second quarter. So shout out to Jam Miller. It was great to just have him look fully healthy out there after missing the first few games of the year. And he's going to be important if we're going to continue to, build a championship run. So Jam Miller, great job. Offensive line, really gelling well. And our playmakers, Jeremy Bernard, Ryan Williams, Isaiah Horton, Lassier Brooks, Josh Cuevas. We can get the ball to so many guys. And, Josh Cuevas hurdled a guy today. We saw Lassier Brooks breaking people off like he normally does. Ryan Williams made some big plays that kept us in the game. And Jeremy Bernard and Isaiah Horton are, I would say, our two most consistent guys. So, out to my boy Caden Proctor. We got him the ball again today, this time on a handoff. It was like a 3rd and 1, and we handed it to him. He lined up at fullback, and he got a couple of yards. Did a good job of holding on to the ball. Offensive linemen aren't really used to carrying the football too often, so that's something that's important. Making sure you got the ball wrapped up, and it's just so hard to get a guy that is so that big and that athletic on the ground. And nobody really wants to tackle a 6'7", 360-pound guy. So I love that our offensive coordinator Ryan Grubb is being so creative, and that's kind of our bread and butter, right? Like we take some risk, but we get big rewards from our risk, and that's going to continue to be important for us to have good wrinkles for different teams, because we try a lot of different stuff when we're in some important situations like 3rd and 5s or going for it on 4th down. And we'll continue to get better with that. I didn't like one of our 3rd down plays where we lined Jeremy Bernard up in a wildcat formation. Like that wasn't great, but for the most part, these things have kind of paid off for us. So that's been great. And on the defensive side, just a great performance in the second half. Like, I thought James Smith, the defensive lineman who was suspended for the first half for targeting in the Georgia game, I thought him being out there in the second half made a difference. And the linebackers played a lot better in the second half. I thought, well, Justin Jefferson had a good game overall, but I thought you saw Deontay Lawson and Nikhil Green just playing faster. And in the secondary, like, our main issues were our DBs taking bad angles or not filling the right holes, and that's kind of why we have these explosive runs happening. And you saw the Kane Womack, our defense coordinator, he made some substitutions a little more frequently, I thought, with the secondary. You saw a lot of Dejon Lee out there, our true freshman corner. And look, Dejon Lee looked great out there to me. I think this was his type of game because we needed Dejon Lee. If you go look at his high school tape, he is not afraid to tackle by any means. He will stick his hat in there and light somebody up. And we needed our corners to play physical. We needed them to react quickly and be willing tacklers. I think sometimes Xavier Brown and Damani Jackson have kind of shied away from that a little bit, and we paid for it because they weren't where they were supposed to be, or they didn't attack the hole the right way, and we gave up a big play. Dejon Lee, not only is he sticking his nose in there and playing physical and a willing tackler, he made a really big play. Vanderbilt was moving the ball, and he had a really nice pass breakup, and you could tell he's gaining confidence, particularly since that Florida State game. Right, had a good freshman moment in that game, but he's only getting better and developing some good experience. So I'm excited to see him get some more burn as the season goes on. And I just love that we gave Vanderbilt like a real attitude adjustment in the second half. Diego Pavia, their quarterback, was talking so greasy. And it really, I think it angered a lot of Bama fans, but after the way Florida State's quarterback was talking and then he backed it up, it's kind of like, all right, we got to kind of wait and see how our defense is going to come out here and respond. But he was talking about not just they was going to beat us, they was going to blow us out. And they got Johnny Manziel on the sideline glazing this dude. Like, Johnny Manziel has no connection to Vanderbilt whatsoever. He is literally just going to be a fanboy for Diego Pavia because Johnny Manziel beat Bama, and so did Diego Pavia last year. So I guess they got some little, weird fraternity for beating Bama. Like, get out of here, dude. Like, that is just, like, pitiful. Like, the amount of glaze Johnny Manziel's giving Diego Pavia is ridiculous. But, the attitude adjustment we gave him was beautiful because, one thing I noticed, Diego Pavia, he didn't have his mouthpiece in the first half. He's out there all willy-nilly. And we popped him a couple times. We forced a fumble. But in that second half, I noticed he put that mouthpiece in. You know what I'm saying? So, real attitude adjustment. And that's what I like to see from my defense, from my team in general. So I love that about this team. And they should feel great about this victory. We got a real identity. And we're rolling, baby. So we got Missouri next week. They're a formidable opponent for sure. But we go in there and approach this game with the proper mentality like we have the last few weeks, and, we'll be in the winner's column again. So, this Vanderbilt team was a little bit stingy, particularly in the first half. Their defense was a little stingy, but it was like some brand new shoes. You gotta break them in a little bit. for them to fit. And that's what we did. We had to break them in a little bit with some Jam Miller run game, and the plays started to roll from there. So this is a great win for the Alabama Crimson Tide. Let me know what y'all thought about the game in the comment section. How you feeling about Alabama's 4-game winning streak, and how you feel about next week? We got a good Missouri team, but we should be able to keep the momentum rolling. So I'm excited. Roll Tide! Y'all enjoy this college football Saturday, and I'll see y'all next time. Malt Frazier out. Peace.